Starting here at the trailhead, we see the kiosk for the Ciaiola Conservation Area, a 600-acre nature preserve in Paterson, New York. This preserve was initially part of Walter Gordon Merritt's 1,000-acre property, eventually called Great Hollow. In 1968, he left the property to Wesleyan University, who then gifted it to the regional YMCA of Connecticut, who used it as a wilderness school. In 2015, the Putnam County Land Trust, along with the Ciaiola family, negotiated for the land, which was acquired by Putnam County for public use. Behind us, a road runs through a hollow with steep sides and a small stream. The area was surveyed in 1728 by Nathaniel Birdsall, a Quaker, who invited his friends to come and inhabit the area. One of those families were the Havilands, after whom the hollow and road were named. By 1740, there were 50 families who owned 500 acres each. These lands were part of the oblong, a tract of land that was a long-debated boundary between Connecticut and New York. To resolve the dispute, a strip of land 2 miles wide by 60 miles long was given to the state of New York, from Greenwich, Connecticut in the south to Massachusetts in the north. In exchange, Connecticut got an area of flat, productive land near the coast, referred to as the Panhandle, which includes Greenwich, Connecticut. We are standing on the site of the Orange B. Thomas Farm, marked now by a few stone walls. These are just parts of the stone foundations of 2 buildings that were surveyed on the site. In 1854, O.B. Thomas kept 4 oxen, 14 swine, and 5 milk cows on his farm, which provided the food, milk, and butter he needed. Farmers at this time raised animals and cultivated crops to feed themselves, and rarely had extra to sell. The stone walls that line these woods marked the field boundaries. Farmers spent long hours improving pastures and clearing them of rocks for better grazing. As we stand now among the tall trees, imagine that in O.B.'s time there were no trees shading his home and livestock. All had been harvested for building materials and fuel. As you look around, you see the bones of old hemlock trees blown down by storms in 2018. These trees were not healthy to begin with. They were badly infested with the invasive insects, hemlock woolly adelgid, and elongate hemlock scale, which weakened them. This steep and rocky gorge is a perfect habitat for the eastern hemlock, or Tsuga canadensis. Hemlocks grow on the north or shady sides of hills, and it was because of the prevalence of these trees on this hillside that tanneries were situated nearby at the corner of Route 22 and Haviland Hollow Road, what was then known as Cowell's Corner. Tanneries needed 2 things: ample water for soaking and rinsing, and hemlock bark. The bark provided the tannic acid for the tanning process. Hemlocks are rich in tannins, the perfect tree for tanning leather. Hemlock groves also create a unique ecosystem. Their boughs shade forest streams, keeping temperatures low for fish species that require cool water. Under this deep shade, other tree species were suppressed, and some wildflowers flourished. Without these majestic trees, those habitats have changed, and sensitive species were edged out. Below us, the forest looks like an unbroken expanse of trees, dotted only by a few ponds and a reservoir. But in the 1800s, much of this land would have been cleared for agriculture and industry. The tanneries in the valley below us were tough places to work. The odoriferous discharge into the eastern branch of the Croton River included animal hair, tanning liquors, lime solution, animal flesh and hair, all polluting the river. To harvest the hemlock bark, workers would girdle the trees in spring when the bark was loose. The close proximity to the gorge meant it was easy to transport these plates of bark to the tannery. There, the bark was shredded, then leached for days in hot water to make tanning liquor, which imparted a deep brown color to tanned leather. Constant harvesting of hemlocks for the tanneries denuded the slopes. In 1850 alone, the nearby tannery processed 3,000 hides, 700 calfskins, and used 130 cords of bark. By 1860, the tanneries were no longer listed in the agricultural census, most likely indicating that they went out of business. By selecting and using these specific trees, humans shaped the landscape, and in turn, the environment shaped the success or failure of their businesses. Here at the waterfall, you will hear the sound of the brook, which carved the gorge you see below. The stream will cross the state line before it feeds into Quaker Brook. Hemlocks still create a dense canopy that shades the stream. Sit here for a while and you may see wildlife visiting the stream or hunting along the stream bed for unwary prey. In winter, with the hush of falling snow, the gorge is a truly humbling place. We hope you'll come back and visit it in every season.
This project was made possible with funding from the Hudson River Valley Greenway, with special thanks to the Putnam County Historian's Office.